You see, last time I talked about drugs and the consequences and bad people, and I've been thinking a lot about bad people. So, I want to talk about why there are so many of them and why they seem to get away with it for so long. Like, every time. Like, every time. Like every time. Like, it's kind of surreal, right? As usual, this is all just from my own life experience, taken with a grain of salt. I'm a high school dropout, so I mean, if you don't want to listen to me, don't listen to me. I don't really care. Last time I defined the evil as being what happens to people when they no longer face consequences for their actions, right? I'm zonked, and I haven't had my Guinness yet. For some reason, it seems like it's become a bit of a contentious issue lately when I talk to people about this, whether or not evil exists, and it's always like this whole, they're just shades of gray kind of bullshit, right? But I don't think that that's true. I would define it as the state of being that arises when somebody no longer has to face consequences, right? And either you can say, well, people are evil so they seek situations where they don't have consequences so they can act out what they really want. Or you have people they say, well, whatever, absolute power corrupts absolutely, that sort of thing. I think it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation where, I mean, chickens lay eggs and eggs make chickens that then lay eggs, so it doesn't really matter. Either way, what we're getting here is people that aren't facing consequences tend to be evil. When I say these people are free from consequences because they have power, I don't mean power in, like, the way that you might be thinking of it as in, like, a billionaire or something. I'm talking like soft power, like social power. Like, say, for example, I would say clout on YouTube is an example of soft power, right? If somebody, hypothetically, if somebody had a lot of clout on YouTube, right, and they hypothetically did something really bad, the people around them would hypothetically probably try to cover for them because they're career-minded and it's better for their job and their own ascension to power that they don't rat on other people. Let's say that hypothetically I've been told, don't talk about other people's skeletons in their closet, and they won't talk about yours. Well, the thing is that I don't have any skeletons, so. If I had a nickel for every time somebody has told me in like the past year or two, well, if you really cared about your career, you would, and then they tell me to either align myself with people that don't have my best interests in mind, say something that I don't believe, or shut up about something that I think is wrong. And this is kind of, what I'm saying is, a lot of these people did this to gain power, and it kind of informs you on where their head's at, right? Whenever things come up like this, the discussion never seems to be around, like, responsibility or doing what's right. It always turns into, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe people won't care. Maybe we can just keep this one quiet. And it just, to me, that doesn't seem like something that good people would do. I always thought that good people take responsibility for their mistakes. So what I'm saying, you get what I'm saying here is, when people don't have to face the consequences for their actions, they don't feel responsible for them, and they continue to do them. It kind of sounds obvious, but I've talked to a lot of people about this, and they act like I'm a crazy person, and that there's no evil people, man. Like, it's just, sometimes people gotta get that bag. Suddenly, when it's somebody who has perceived power in some way, all the loudmouths and the moralist sort of people seem to just shut the fuck up. And this was something that I found really striking to me. They shut up, and then they immediately turn around and go, well, it's not that bad. We have to be supportive, and things like that, right? I want to talk about moralizing for a second, right? The people, we see this with H3, right? The people that have the most skeletons in their closet are always the ones who are the loudest about how moral they are, and that's because they're manipulative. This goes back to the people without facing consequences, right? These people, because they're not good, are perfectly willing to pretend to be better than they are to exploit good people. Right? They'll look at you and they'll say, well, look at how moral I am. Look at how much better I am than you. Look at how moral I am. Clearly, I'm a better person than you. Look at all the good things that I do. Here's me donating to charity. Here's me doing these things. So clearly, I should be in charge. And because you're a good person, you'll listen to him. I've seen people post this shit on Twitter, where they'll be like, I just know all these horrible things, but, like, I can't talk about them for the sake of my career. It's like, dude, come on, that's what life's about. You know what I mean? That's what life's about, is the ascension up the ladder. You know what I mean? You gotta climb that next rung and push the person beneath you down, you know what I mean? Good people don't seek to benefit off of being good. Like, you're just good because that's who you are. You just do good things because that's the right thing to do. When somebody starts parading their good deeds around in your face, they're manipulating you. Most of the time. Like, there's something to be said for leading by example, right? But we all know that the people that post these sort of things and that play to these sort of crowds are benefiting from it, right? And doesn't it kind of negate doing a good thing if you personally selfishly benefit? Last week I talked a lot about consequences, right? Because I was talking about drugs. And the namesake of this episode is, of course, Jeffrey Epstein. The reason why he's so relevant to the discussion about bad people here is that as soon as he stopped facing consequences in his life, and here, I'll play it for you in a second. As soon as he stopped facing consequences in his life, he says that he got stuck in a time warp at 27, right? And he's like, oh, well, when you get wealth, you have to start thinking about your life differently. And by thinking about your life differently, he means he doesn't see himself as a normal person like you or I anymore. And I'd wager to bet that a lot of these bad people, right, don't see themselves as like you or I. They see themselves as being higher up. So anything that they do doesn't carry the same weight and consequences that people like us do, right?
I think now what I'm saying is once you have wealth, you have to think about your life differently.
Now let's say, hypothetically, right, there are some people that could be considered power brokers, right? I mean, we are in the information age, right? Let's say that these information brokers, let's just call them the media, right? This can apply to YouTube, Hollywood, the news, it doesn't matter, right? The media. As Yuri Bezmenov would say, these people were not elected. Most people don't like them, and yet they hold so much power over what people do and what people think, right? Something that you also have to be aware of in terms of evaluating the honesty of somebody is their proximity to these power brokers, right? There's a lot of people that have this public reputation of being a great person, and they always get this positive coverage, right? And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. Don't think that I'm talking about a single person in particular. This is like, what I'm talking about here could apply to like 30 different people off the top of my head, right? When people are usually in close proximity to these power brokers, right? It's so that they don't get their dirt covered, right? Like, but when people try to get themselves in good with the people that manage information, it immediately makes me suspicious just based on the experiences I've had with people like that. It's usually because they're afraid they've done something that the power broker doesn't know. Now they want to get close to them so that they think twice about publishing it, right? Just food for thought. I'm trying to think of what else I should add. What I'm getting at here is that part of the reason these people get away with shit for so long is that they're really, really good at pretending to be good people, right? So they hide in this crowd like a wolf among sheep. And there's like, what I'm getting at here is there's so fucking many of them that it's kind of horrifying. I'm kind of like, how many fucking sheep are there? Is this farm located next to the sheep supply store? Like, it's just like, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. It's so hard for me to talk about this without actually talking about it, but you know what I'm saying. This video is definitely going to be one of the most meandering ones because I'm trying to avoid talking about certain things, but what I'm getting at here is that whenever somebody seeks to be put on a pedestal and enjoys being put on a pedestal, you need to be very skeptical of them, because usually that's them finally getting that freedom from consequences, and they're going to act like a fucking weirdo after that. Oh, the whole point of the video. I can't believe that I didn't even talk about the whole point of the video yet. The reason this video is called Egg-Shaped, right, is that when Jeffrey Epstein went to trial, the only thing that could get under his skin, it wasn't people actually calling him out for being an absolute monster, right? The thing that got under his skin was when they said he had an egg-shaped penis, right? And I guess what I'm getting at here is that the one thing that I have noticed about bad people is that they're incredibly fragile when it comes to them as people. I guess I could probably revise my earlier statement where Evil is what happens when weak, fragile people no longer face the consequences for their actions. Thanks for watching. I hope that this made some form of sense. I don't know. This is just my experience, man.
One witness described your penis as oval-shaped and claimed when erect it was thick towards the bottom but was thin and small towards the head portion, and called it egg-shaped. Those are not my words, I apologize. But as Mr. Critton has stated, that this is a... I'm willing to continue.